Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.
Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. The Timpanuki Trail's open.
Yeah, baby.
And we are in our absolute favorite spot in the entire canyon.
Yes.
There's so much happiness and joy happening right now, mixed with a lot of frustration.
So excited the minute I heard it open. I text you.
Yeah. And then I jumped in the Jeep and I left.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent pictures the entire time.
Because what did you see up here?
A rock? Oh, the sun.
I thought you said a rock. I was like, there's lots of rocks all over the canyon. That is not what I'm talking about. Try again.
Option 2. I saw a lightning and thunderstorm on one side of this hill I was on, and the other side was the most beautiful sunset ever. I wish I was up here a little bit earlier, but I'm not.
Gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
So beautiful.
This spot has a ton of meaning because this is where we came when I first got to Utah.
Yeah, we did. And this view is, it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
I'm not articulate enough to put into meaning what it feels like to be here and the healing. And I do feel like there's so much about what we talk about to coming to Canyon Culture and wanting to do this podcast that the feelings we have at this spot is, for me, what it brings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it brings up emotions for sure.
We've been emotional already this morning, just driving up here. But I think that matches kind of what we're wanting to talk about today, because this is more of a serious topic and it's a little bit more, somber, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're starting a series just called Breaking Free. And it's just about getting out of a narcissistic relationship. And none of it is like a how-to. It's just what we've experienced and what we appreciate that we did, what we wish we did differently. Mm-hmm. But it's just the whole series is just going to be like a perspective from our experience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So today, what is the topic for today and for the first Breaking Free episode?
For the Breaking Free episode, well, I guess before I go into that, I want us to be really clear that this is not for two rational people leaving a relationship or divorcing.
Correct.
This is not what that's for. This is for leaving a narcissistic partner.
Yeah.
And or divorcing them.
So making sure that you take things that resonate with your situation and leaving the rest, because every situation is different. So some of this may apply to anybody who's trying to leave a relationship, but we're coming at it from a very specific narcissistic, abusive relationship, and this is our experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So real clear on that. This is we're not experts.
Right. No,
we just have life experience that we feel led to share.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this first episode, we're going to talk about preparing to leave and or divorce. There was a lot of prep that went into that for both of us. And so these are things that we either did or we wish we had done as we walked through it. And I think that there is some really good knowledge to be gained in this episode.
I agree.
So
let's go.
Okay, let's go. Let's dive in. The very first thing that I did was consult with an attorney. Sounds simple, but it was not.
No, it's not.
Consulting with an attorney, there was a couple things that went into it. My phone was off so that my location couldn't be tracked, so he wouldn't know where I was. I had my parents pay for it so that he couldn't see any charges for it, and I wouldn't get flagged or questioned on that. Could
you imagine? He's like, what does this lawyer charge? You're like, don't worry about it.
Weird. Like it was HEB.
You can't even get a cup of coffee without him striking up any sort of concerns, but you're like, oh, it's just a retainer for an attorney. It's fine.
It's fine.
That would have gone over real well.
So I had to be really careful how I went about it, for the actual meeting, for paying for the meeting, even just contacting them.
Yeah.
I had to be careful about what phone I called from, what email I gave them, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that look for you?
Well, mine, I had the blessing of my sister being able to pretty much drop her whole life to help get me out. My situation, the reason that we prepped in the way that we did was because things had reached scary levels.
Mm-hmm.
So we were already in high alert.
Right.
We didn't have peace to be to keep. We were already in high alert. So my sister met with the lawyers. My sister paid for, and my parents also paid for the retainer once we chose a lawyer. But once the protective order was awarded us and given to my ex, I then met with a lawyer. So I was already out of danger at that.
Mm-hmm.
Danger. I use that term loosely. Before we met with a lawyer,
Okay.
before I physically did anything with a lawyer.
Okay.
So I did have that blessing with that.
And what did you gain from that first consultation or meeting? What were the big takeaways?
Just a game plan, how we were going to, because we were awarded the protective order, what the plan was,
Mm-hmm.
what the goals were, what she just got to know. Like, she met with my sister, and so my sister gave her did a lot of the groundwork.
Right.
But so when I got there, she just kind of got a vibe on me. She threatened me with my life if I ever went back to him again. That was very clear. Loved that.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, this is what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So we were already in the thralls of leaving. But one of the things my sister did do was she met with other attorneys that were cutthroat.
Mm.
And because she met with them, he couldn't hire them. So she strategically picked lawyers that we didn't want him to have.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm not sure if that's a thing in every state.
You
I
have
know
to
it
check.
is in Utah
and
but
California.
It basically says what?
So because it's a confidentiality, because a lot of times to even have a consultation, you have to pay.
Right.
And so it's a conflict of interest
Mm-hmm.
at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So because I saw them first, they can't then see him.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some lawyers that were like, let's see what the best option is, because that was the thing. We needed to find a good fit for us in our case. And my sister is a wonderful researcher. And so she did that. But then some of them were to make sure he didn't get the ones that were going to make our case really difficult.
That was really smart and strategic of y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually a tip, I think, from my brother. So we got it everywhere.
Meeting with the very first consultation I had with the attorney was well before I left.
Like how, like weeks or months?
Months.
Okay.
Many months before I left. And so she was able to give me really good advice on how to document things in a safe way. She was able to give me advice on what apps to use, how to lock things, when to use a burner phone, where to store things. She was able to tell me, here are the things that are important that I need you to document. Here's how to store them and where to store them so that you don't get caught and get yourself into a dangerous situation. And she gave me a game plan and a little bit of peace of mind in something that was going to be really big and dark that I was facing and was really scared about.
How did you pick her? How did you find a lawyer and say, that's the one for me? What was that process like?
My sister had used her, so.
She's in the family.
Family business.
You got your tattoo family, your family tattoo artist. You got your family divorce
family
lawyer.
Attorney. Yes.
Listen, that's
She's
true
just
for
the
my
divorce.
lawyer too, because my sister used the same one.
Keep it in the family.
Keep it in the family. Oh, that's funny and dark. It's fine.
So that was fabulous. So the very next thing that I started doing was documenting everything that she had told me was important. Again, that was a really important piece for me because I was like, I don't know what you want me to document.
Right.
What exactly? I mean, do you want to know that he's pissed that I breathed yesterday? Or do you want to know about the hole in the wall from 5 months ago? Does it even matter?
Well, something that's important too is that when you're the victim in a situation, there are a lot of emotions. Guess who doesn't care about emotions? The courts.
Yeah.
The courts do not care about emotions. So we both did this with my sister. My sister helped us get our protective orders and a lot of our evidence put together because she was able to be emotionless and she was able to we would just dictate to her what happened and she would take that and remove the emotion and write down the play-by-play.
That was huge for me. So Gina's sister helped me with my divorce as well.
Yeah.
And in particular, we had to write a document pertaining to every kind of domestic violence thing that had happened that I could remember. One, having to go through all of that and relive that is more traumatic, and there is so much emotion involved. And so she was able to do that with me. And like you said, she took the emotion out of it to leave the facts and details that the court cares about.
And I love that we didn't have to do it. So we are reliving 13 years of trauma, because I don't know about you, but mine started pretty much right away.
Right.
And so we had 13 years of trauma to go through, and to have to, if I had to go through and remove the emotion, that extra step would have been a ton. So
I literally don't think that I could have.
I don't think I
didn't
have
have
either.
The capacity to.
Yeah. But that was such a, if you can get somebody else to help with that process, it's super helpful, because then the lawyers can look at it and go, this applies, this applies, this applies, this doesn't. And it just, the process is faster. I remember we did go into my lawyer's office, and we had a binder, and she was like, oh my gosh, I wish all my clients were like this. Like, my sister and I just put so much work and effort into anything she asked us to, was so organized and so put together. It was like, she's like, I don't even need like my paralegals or whatever. She's like, you guys are doing great. I was like, thank you so much. Even though it was all my sister, it's fine.
Right.
But yeah, having, like, you have to understand that the court system is a game. They don't care about your feelings. And as hard as that is, because you're like, but he hurt me emotionally. They're like, I'm so sorry. We don't care.
Yes.
So you have to be prepared for that to sting.
It is. Actually, my dad gave me really good advice on that. He was like, you need to view it as a business deal.
Absolutely.
There are zero emotions. This is a business deal, 50-50, everything. It doesn't matter what he did or didn't do. It doesn't matter how he hurt you. They are not going to care. It is a business deal, 50-50. You need to put your emotions aside and be able to deal with that. And
get through it, because the faster you get through it, the sooner you're done. And if because you're taking the emotion out of it, you are in a clearer headspace.
Right. And
so it is good to have, like, during my mediation, I did have my sister and my dad there, and they did keep reminding me that same idea. They didn't use the terms that your dad used as far as business deal, but there was like, none of this matters. The kids matter. Stuff doesn't matter. Right. They had to keep reminding me, because it's very emotional.
Right. And even during all of that, I had you, and I had my parents, and I had Coach Michelle, where I could, because we're human. We can't just completely remove the emotion from it. I don't know how many breakdowns I had, I was in daily contact with my parents and Coach Michelle and you guys would all let me have that emotional breakdown, and then be like, okay, and now we have to put it down and deal with what we need to deal with.
We don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this. So we got to feel it quick. Like, it was a lot of what we talk about now, where we feel emotions, but we don't have the time to sit in a dirty river. We have to move.
For sure. There's no processing going on because everything is happening so quickly.
I guess that's what it's not a healing process. It's a get out. It's a get out as fast as you can, so you can start to heal and start that new life.
Yeah. So as far as documenting things, where did you keep?
That's evidence? A funny story. I had stuff on my computer, and I didn't find this out till after the divorce, but he was mad about something that I did and broke my computer. And I had to get the hard drive out of it and put it in another one. I think I don't know how I was able to get a new laptop, and him helping me get the old hard drive in the new laptop without him figuring it out. But I had hard drives with information on it. My sister had some stuff. I had some stuff hidden in my parents' crawl spaces. Like, we went to extensive situations just to keep, because that's the thing is, like, as I had the evidence, if he caught wind of it, I had no good reason to have whatever I had on my computer. And he's a computer guy. He knows how to take, like, if he got any wind of it, it would have been not good. So we took every opportunity to be as cautious and keep things out of the house as we could.
Yeah, I kind of did the same. I kept almost everything at my parents' house.
Yeah.
So things would be sent to them or given to them, and they had it in a safe place in their house. So not only the documenting stuff, like police reports and all the domestic violence and stuff, but also I moved really important things over to their house. I'm talking birth certificates, social security cards, trying to think if there's just that whole, we have that whole binder of like our entire lives. That was really important. I moved all of that over to my parents' house so that it would be safe.
So I had to wait until the day of, because if he needed it or if we needed something from that, that would have been a red flag. So I know that there were a lot of things that I needed to wait till day of before I took them, so that I didn't raise any flags. So I just made a list of everything the day that I needed to leave that had to come with us, and I grabbed those.
Yeah, I did things in stages. So the things, again, that I knew I could take out without him seeing or noticing or having red flags, I would take out slowly.
Yeah.
And take at my parents. But some of the things that I wrote down that I don't know how I thought of it, but I had boudoir pictures. I made sure I got those out of the house. And then the other thing that I took out of the house that I did not take out until the very day that I was leaving was the guns.
Yeah.
We're from Texas. We have guns. Everybody in Texas has guns. I knew that that would raise a red flag immediately. He had one that he carried often, almost every single day. And by the grace of God, he forgot it the morning that I left.
Isn't that amazing?
That was all God. But I knew he would notice. So that I wait as long as I felt that we were safe.
Yeah.
My dad also knew daily what was happening. And so I had another set of eyes and ears to know this is still okay. This is still safe. We waited to take the guns out.
Yeah. I think that was something we did want to stop and talk about is your safety is number one.
Yes.
So there was a moment where we wanted to have go bags because we didn't know on D-Day for me, we didn't know what that day was going to look like. So we didn't know if we were just going to leave with the clothes on our backs or if we were going to have time to pack up anything.
Right.
So we it was suggested that we have go bags, diapers, wipes, clothes for the kids for just a couple of days until things settle. But I just remember I was trying, his office was downstairs, which is the same level as our garage, which is where the car was kept.
Right.
So all he had to do was poke his head out of his office. And if he saw me with a bag or a backpack, I remember I had one bag and I walked out and my heart was racing and I take it to my parents' house and my dad was just like, no, if you are afraid of that, if your safety is in jeopardy, don't do it. It's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Right. So I guess that to me was just like the lesson learned there is your safety is number one. Stuff can be replaced.
Yes.
There's resources out there to help you to replace any things, to help clothe your kids, to get diapers. There's all kinds of domestic violence situations you can research in your area to help with that kind of stuff. But your safety is number one. Don't push it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had a good 6 to 8 months to prepare.
Yeah.
As long as we were safe. And then when it came time to leaving, I didn't know. We didn't have a day. I didn't know.
There was no plan, like official plan.
Yeah. One night got dangerous and scary. And the very next morning, my dad said, call me. I called him and he said, enough.
Yeah.
It's time. We're not safe anymore. And then it was go time, right? Yeah. So I prepared as long as I could until it came to a point where we were getting to some unsafe places. And then it was so fast after that.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah.
So I like that. Make sure safety is important. If at any time your safety is compromised, stop.
Ditch.
Get out.
Yep.
Okay. The next thing that we had kind of talked about was how we prepped. And I think I may have more on this because I had a longer time to prep than you did. But what do you have on this?
So my situation was quite different because we had a domestic violence issue that happened the year before that I got in trouble for, which we'll just say is bullshit.
Yep.
So I was technically under probation and I could not have any domestic violence. I couldn't have any other domestic violence things come up for a year. Otherwise it would void my plea in abeyance. So I literally had to wait till my parole was up. If you call it parole, I don't even remember what it's called. So I had to wait till that was up. So things were getting dangerous and bad. Family had an intervention, said like you need to leave, and that's a big bug. And luckily, it was only 2 weeks between the time of the intervention and when my probation was up. And once I mean, it was a hellish 2 weeks, but I would have left a lot earlier if I didn't have that, which blows my mind that the court system that's supposed to keep me safe kept me in an abusive relationship for quite a bit longer than I should have. Anyway, so my preparation was more of getting documents and not physical. It was getting everything we needed to for a protective order.
Right.
And it was getting new bank accounts for just me without him on it. It was moving my doTERRA account just to me, as much as we could do without raising a red flag, so that when we left, it was like we no longer see him kind of a thing.
Right.
And so my preparation was just a lot more of that documentation, my sister visiting with lawyers, me visiting with counselors, opening bank accounts, lots of lying. It was not my favorite.
Yeah.
But yours was, like you said, 6 to 8 months, and you were preparing for the life after.
Yeah, I was. I knew I had been a stay-at-home mom the whole time, and I knew he wasn't going to pay child support no matter what went down in court.
Yeah.
And so I knew I needed to prepare for that. I'm so thankful I had those 6 to 8 months. I look back and I don't know how I even survived being in that mode for so long.
Yeah.
But God was so good. So these are some of the things that I did. I knew I couldn't pull cash out or cash back anywhere, because on the bank statements it would show. If you buy groceries and you pull $25 out, it's going to show on the bank statement that you pulled $25 out.
So glad you knew that.
I know. So I knew not to do that. So instead of doing that, I bought gift cards with my groceries.
So smart.
I would spend a little less on groceries and buy gift cards. So I would be spending around the same amount, so it wouldn't raise a red flag.
Yeah.
But every single week I would be getting gift cards to either grocery stores or even Visa gift cards if I could use those to pay bills.
You're not getting like Home Depot.
No, I did not.
Make sure we get those 2x4s. No, things that you're actually going to be able to use to pay bills or to
get groceries, necessities, things like that.
Pay for diapers.
On top of that, in my grocery orders, I started trying to do cheaper meals and cheaper food to be able to buy extra non-perishable things that I could hide in the attic. So I'm talking like tampons, trash bags, paper towels, toilet paper, razor heads, things that were expensive that I knew would add up over time, that I could, while he was at work, because my ex worked a ton and was out of the house a ton.
So helpful.
Things that I could stuff in giant black trash bags and put all the way in the back of the attic and put the boxes back in front of them. So if you ever went up in the attic, you wouldn't see them.
Right.
And I stashed so much. Laundry detergent was another one. You guys, I stashed so much.
So so incredibly smart. So freaking smart.
And that was a huge blessing from God, to have that time, to have the wisdom to be able to do that, to have the safety to be able to do that and not be caught doing it.
I feel like both of our stories in this situation just really showcase neither of us were divorcing our exes to try and get back at them. We weren't trying to take them for all their money. We just wanted a safe life. Mm-hmm. And us preparing the way that we did was literally for our safety. Mm-hmm. It was for you to provide for you're going, I need to be able to provide for my family in such a way. I'm going, we just need to get out of here without further harm or injury. Mm-hmm. And that's all. I mean, like, that's the thing is we're not like vengeful ex-wives going after our ex-husbands. We literally just wanted to get our kids out of unsafe situations and provide for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the end, this saved our butts big time, because
so smart.
He drained every single penny from all of the accounts,
which is insane to me.
He never had any consequences for it in court. And we're up to like $160,000 in child support right now.
Blows my mind.
Crazy. He's able to live and get away with that.
Ugh.
Anyway, to the point, the me prepping has saved our butts for years.
So creative and so smart.
So another thing that I did was make sure that everybody was caught up on dental work, because it is so stinking expensive.
Yes, it is.
Teeth are expensive. That is a question I have for God. When we
for real.
Why? Could you just not make them easy? Why?
Give us one thing.
Anyway, not the point.
Ranting about teeth.
Point being, that was one of the, I made everybody go to the dentist. I hadn't been to the dentist in years, and I had been through so many pregnancies, which does a number on your teeth.
Why don't we get good teeth after pregnancy? We don't get anything. We get worse bodies, worse boobs, and worse teeth.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Bigger feet.
I know.
This is weird.
So weird. But
no, again, like I'm always so impressed with all the creative things that you did and all the ideas that you came up with to prepare. So getting any health stuff done, getting stocked up on meds that your kids might need, getting stocked up on dental work, whatever you need to do, getting set up with plans. Because, I don't even know if we talked about this, but a lot of times what the courts will want to do is want to maintain the lifestyle that the children have.
Right.
And so if you possibly can get them in to see a therapist, they may add that to the decree. Be like, well, they're already seeing a therapist. You have to continue to pay for this, or this needs to be a continual thing for their life. So things like that is really smart to have in there. So for you, I know that you had in your decree that the kids would continue to be homeschooled so that he couldn't control that. And I knew that I needed to have that the kids would continue to be raised in the religion that they were born in, because I knew that he would try and use that.
Right.
So things like that, I think, were really smart for us to have in our decree.
Yeah. Another big thing that was really difficult for me was getting information on our finances. So I got married really young and was taught a lot of well-meaning things by the Christian world that did a lot of damage to me.
Yeah.
He was the man, so he was in charge of working. He was in charge of finances, and I didn't need to worry my pretty little head about it. I had never logged into a bank account. I had no idea how much money he made. I had never seen a tax return. And all of those things really fucked me.
Yeah.
Because getting information on any of that was almost impossible. You need to do as much work as you can on this part, because child support and or spousal support, whatever support you're going to get, is going to be based off of finances.
Yep.
So I was not able to get into bank accounts because he had drained everything and gone and opened new ones that I had no access to, right? But I was able to go to the old bank because my name was on it and get transcripts and records of months prior and showing that he had drained everything.
Yeah.
I was finally able to get tax returns by calling the IRS, they were almost closed during COVID. My divorce was during the middle of COVID, which was so horrible. And they weren't taking any calls. And I was like, oh, this is so important. And so one day it just came to me, like I called him and I pressed the option where we owe you money. And guess what? They answered.
Weird. Super weird.
And so I played it off. I was like, my husband asked me to call and would like to see tax returns for the last 4 years. He knows that we owe y'all money and we want to be able to set up a payment plan, but we need to see these tax returns. Could you send them to me? Oh yeah, no problem.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you, Jesus, for that.
So good.
So do your work on finances. It's really important.
Yeah. Luckily, I was not the financer. I was in charge of the finances, so I knew what it would cost, like, to live. I had all that stuff. My problem was you had no credit because nothing was in your name.
Yes.
We had to file bankruptcy because he didn't work. So that was fun.
So fun.
Super fun. And he was also unemployed when I left. So child support looks real nice.
Yeah.
So if you can, leave when he's got a good job. Highly recommend that. But also safety, right?
Yes. Yes. You touched on this a little bit already, but we also, the kids and I had go bags. I mean, obviously the kids didn't know about them. I don't want to be like, Daddy, guess what we did today? We
made go bags. And he's like, that's a weird craft.
Right. This is our dark humor coming out, guys. Okay?
No. We're talking about for like fires. We have go bags for the fires.
Right.
Fire drills.
We had go bags and we had an undisclosed location that literally I don't think anybody knew about other than me. Not my parents, not you, not Coach Michelle. Nobody knew where it was.
That's the part that feels the worst is when you're doing a lot of this, because we had a safe house that we went to after I left, because as much as the protective order is great, how many people on the news are you hearing about,
right?
Murder, suicides and stuff like that. And when you are dealing with a narcissist, you literally have no clue what ends they're going to be willing to go when they're put in a situation like that. So to have to sit there and be like, oh yeah, we lived in a safe house for 2 weeks. I'm like, what is this life that I live? But two, the fact that we had this safe house and the only people that knew about it were my sister and my parents, because my sister found it and set it up. And my parents are the ones that drove us there.
Right.
But you, like, nobody else knew. Like,
No,
like,
I didn't
you
even
can't
have...
trust anybody. And it's not a trust thing. It's just the less people that know, the better.
Yes. And that's a solid point that we wanted to talk about as well. Be quiet. This is not a fun season. This is not a season you want to go around talking about. Do not trust anyone. The only people in my life that knew what were happening were my parents, Coach Michelle, you, and your sister. That was it. Nobody else knew the details of what was going on.
Half of us were out of state.
Right. And that was for my safety and my kids' safety. And that was very important, because there are well-meaning people out there who don't see behind your closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to go, he's not that bad of a guy.
Right.
He seems like a really nice guy. Like, maybe I can help.
Right. Maybe if I say something.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can help save their marriage.
I met with my bishop, letting him know, but I prefaced, I was like, what I'm about to tell you needs to not get to my ex.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not comfortable, or if you feel like that's not something you can do, then I won't say anything. If you can, then I will let you know, so that you can be in the know for what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, he was like, no, I'm fine with that, because he had worked with us enough and knew that things weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
But even to the day that I left, like, finding a babysitter so we could pack everything up, I went to a neighbor. I was like, I'm leaving. Can you take the kids so I can go pack? Like, there's no plan of, like, nobody knew.
Right.
Like, you kept it so quiet because, like you said, good meaning people could still slip up and say the wrong thing, and you are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds super dramatic. It sounds so dramatic. And people are like, is that really what happened? And I even question it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think back, I'm like, nope, we literally had a police chase that day. We had a car chase. That was reality.
We have police reports. We have times we should have gone to the hospital when we didn't, for fear out of what would happen to kids. And that literally was our reality. I
found out after that the domestic violence situation that happened the year before I left, I didn't read the police report. The lawyer at the time, he said, it'll just traumatize you. Don't read it again. So when my lawyer read it, and she was like, what happened here? She had a lot of questions, because there was a lot of pictures of the damage that happened to my body. Yet I'm the one that got in trouble. So she was like ready to fight them on that one, which I love her for. Mm-hmm. But the only reason I didn't get arrested that day was because I was nursing a baby. Right? Like I have to remember that was my reality, because I feel like the gaslighting is still so embedded in me. I have to remember, like, sometimes I go, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I could have made my family work. I'm going, no, like you said, we should have gone to the hospital. There's police reports. I almost got arrested. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Take this seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Leave discreetly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We're not doing this for show.
Right.
We didn't do this for attention.
No.
Golly, there's so much better ways. Yeah, running through the park naked would have been a lot better.
And way more fun.
It's true.
Okay, so I think the last thing that I kind of want to land on here and touch on is having something prepared to tell the kids when the day of comes. That is not something that I thought about much. And we went from one morning, we were prepping and it was safe, to the night got scary and the next morning was go.
Yeah. That's when you, as you're prepping for 6 to 8 months, and not knowing when that day is going to come, you're in moment to moment, right? Like, yes. That's not something on your list of to-dos.
And the amount of adrenaline that was pumping through my body, and moving guns out of the house and taking kids to a safe place. I did not do a good job with this. I don't remember much about that day, other than I felt like I couldn't breathe at all. And so I remember calling my dad and saying, I need something to tell my kids, because I have nothing right now. Nothing. I don't have any words at all. And I know that he gave me something. I don't remember what it was, because that day was so intense, but I know that he helped give me something to tell them that day. Yeah.
But that, I think, is having that prayer in your heart and getting prepared to have something to say when you leave, because I'm hoping that most people, even with a narcissist, can leave peacefully. But if you're not, it's going to be traumatic for you and your kids. Mm-hmm. So the day that I left, I wasn't kidding. There was a police chase. There was him being held down by my brother-in-law before the police could get to where we were. There was, him trying to take kids. Like, it was really, really intense. Mm-hmm. On the way to the hotel, I just kind of felt the spirit come over me, and I was just like, what we just went through was a lot. And my kids were little, right? My oldest was 9.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest was 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that was a lot. And when you love people, you don't treat them the way that daddy just treated all of us. So we're not going to live with daddy anymore because that's not okay.
Right.
And so I feel like I did have the benefit of them being younger. And I kind of had that benefit of it being a really traumatic, intense day.
Right.
If you want to hear about the days that we left, it's at the beginning of our podcast, our stories. We talk in detail about it if you want to go back and check those out. But that intensity, I think, gave me kind of a foundation to talk to my kids about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it sent a message that this is not okay. And we are taking really big measures. And I think that that was good for them to see.
Mm-hmm. I think that covers a lot of what we wanted to talk about. Again, this is not a checklist. This is not a to-do list. These are things that really helped us or things that we had wished that we had done. So I hope that this will share some wisdom. Know that we're sitting here 5.5 years out from it, and God, we lead such beautiful lives now. We are in a completely different season. That feels like an entire different lifetime that we lived.
I can't even believe I lived that kind of life
at all,
because we're out of the fog.
Right.
And I'm just like, wow.
We're out of it, and you will get out of it too. Yeah. You will get out of it too. It'll take time. It'll take going through some really hard things.
A lot of courage.
But look what's on the other side.
Yep. And we're not done yet. That's the thing, is my favorite part is like we continue to better our lives. We're continuing to create beautiful lives for ourselves and our children.
Yes.
And it ebbs and flows, but generally we're on an uphill.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting better and better, which is amazing because I feel like that life was just nothing but darkness. So
reach out to your local resources. There are domestic violence help in every single state, in every city. Reach out to them. Plenty of places that will help you get out, help you stay safe, help you with food and diapers and wipes and clothing, all the things.
All the advice that you need on how to get the legal advice that you need, like getting legal advice, check in with your local police department with a domestic violence advocate. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I did. And they gave us a lot of good advice of where to go and what to do.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Do we end with gratitude on this one?
I think we do.
Okay. I'm grateful for my sister and my family. For one, being brave enough to have that intervention with me. And 2, that day when all I had to do was say, yes, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I was just in fight or flight like I've never been before. Mm-hmm. And they just took care of me, and I could not have done it without them. Mm-hmm. And I'm unbelievably grateful to my family, especially my sister, for getting me out of that awful situation. So grateful.
I am incredibly grateful for all of the time and ideas that God gave me to prep before I left, because it has saved our butts for so long. I'm thankful that God gave me the ideas, the space, the safety. I'm thankful for my support people through it, you and your sister and my parents and Coach Michelle, who were in the very nitty-gritty, who saw me at my absolute worst and helped me get out.
Yeah.
And I am incredibly grateful that this is our life now.
That this is your backyard.
That this is our backyard.
Yeah.
And God is good.
Yeah. So be safe. Do what you can to get out.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.